Welcome everybody to the GearBox Precision Call. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us today. It's awesome to have you here. I know you could be anywhere else in the world. Go ahead in the chat box. Let us know where you're calling in from. I know we have callers calling in from all across the world, 75 different countries across the world. So we appreciate that. Thank you all for being here with us. Before we get started, I do need to read you this risk disclosure. There is a substantial risk of loss associated with trading Forex, binary options, stocks, or equities, collectively asset classes. Only risk capital should be used for trading. Trading in any asset class is not appropriate for everyone. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. No representation is being made that investors will make profits or will sustain losses. Before trading in any asset classes, investors should consult their professional broker, financial advisor, or financial consultant to determine whether trading asset classes is appropriate. Investors who trade in any asset class should not only do so if the capital used for this purpose represents funds that an investor can afford to lose without adversely impacting the investor's lifestyle. No trading strategy or methodology is without risk of loss. No trading strategy is risk-free, and no trading strategy can guarantee profits or freedom from losses. Investors risk losing the cost to execute any transaction, including associated commissions or fees. You should carefully consider whether trading in any asset class is appropriate for you in light of your investment experience and financial resources. Any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. None of the statements or materials in the Auvoria chat room constitute a solicitation or recommendation to buy or sell. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to get right into it for the week and review all of the different one pair data accounts, how the accounts are doing, and take a look. So let's get right into it, and we will start sharing our VPSs here. So we're going to get into every single one of the different currency pairs here and just take a look at what is going on the week. The first thing you can see is that GBP CHF has still yet to take a trade. We've been running this account for months now, and my belief is that GBP CHF, we are running the normal GBP settings that we're kind of running on GBP USD and some of the other more volatile Great British Pound pairs that move a little bit more. We're running those same exact gear entries or settings on GBP CHF, and that could be a little too conservative for GBP CHF. So we are going to look into that further, but I do want to touch on this a little later in the call when we get into sharing some other results. And you'll be able to actually understand this a little better and why we like to be very precise with our entries. I'd rather wait a little bit to get a really precise trade than risk more. And I'll give you a great example of why more near the end of this call. We will see that NZD CAD, it is in drawdown currently, about 17%. If we take a look, this was a straight, pretty much almost 400 pip run up, a little less than 400 right now. We're about at 370 pips current run up here. And you can see we are in 17% drawdown. Nothing too crazy. We're just waiting for the reversal to the downside after, almost a 400 pip move on a pair like NZD CAD. It's only natural that we should look to see this come back down, hopefully today, if not, at market open on Sunday evening. Now, GBP CHF, as we said, has still not taken any trades. We continue on. USD CHF did 1.53% profit this week. Absolutely incredible. Continuing on, AUD USD did not enter any trades this week. We can see 0% floating profit. CAD CHF, you can see, again, we have no trades that opened on the week on CAD CHF. CHF JPY, you can go ahead and see that as well. We had no open trades this week on CHF JPY. Now on Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, we had no trades as well on these data accounts. So we'll move on to the next VPS. AUD CHF, we can see, did not enter any trades. Oh, we're not going to look at that one. That's not an actual data account. That's just a random one, and it probably froze it. There we go. AUD NZD, we can see is highly correlated with what we just saw with NZD CAD, but in the opposite direction, right? So NZD CAD made almost a 400 pip, 370 pip move to the upside. We look here, and we're looking at about the same pip count to the downside here on AUD NZD. So as well, we're now waiting for that reversal again here and looking to close some profits on that one. We'll continue on. AUD JPY, you can see that there were no trades open this week as well. Our weekly floating is 0%. If you're also new to the call, how you know if a pair did any profit, we're always going to be looking at the weekly floating here on this specific pair. If you are looking at an account that's running multiple pairs, you're going to be looking at this tab here, symbol, profit, and loss, to actually see how much profit that symbol has made on the week or lost that week. Typically, we like to see the profitable one, right? AUD USD or not AUD USD JPY. No profit on the week, no trades. We can see we have ghost gears going in both directions. There's a positive number in both directions here. So currently it is hedging in the ghost server and is playing both directions, which kind of makes sense because you can see there's been a lot of choppiness here. You see the choppiness? Anytime the market's kind of ranging or chopping, you're oftentimes going to see that the ghost server is going to start playing both directions. You'll see a positive number here in both directions when that happens. NZD JPY, we had no trades open on this week. NZD CHF, we can see did have a run up, but we got in that run up a little bit later, so we're not in much drawdown, 2.62%, waiting on the reversal to the downside, which again looks pretty imminent at this point. So, you know, that's again another trade waiting to play out here that we are in. And then looking at Euro GBP, this is another one that kind of goes like, you know, some of the other GBP pairs like GBP CHF, Euro GBP, as well as even GBP CAD. Looking at some of those GBP pairs, we notice that they just are not as volatile typically as, say, GBP USD or Great British Pound Australian Dollar. So we are looking to say, okay, maybe we could decrease our gear entries on some of these pairs to provide more trade opportunities, but also we don't want to do that because there are other reasons why not to. And I'm going to show you what we weigh out when talking about potentially lowering a gear entry, what has to go through our mind, because that could be a riskier decision. And we're going to talk about that when we look at some MyFX books here shortly. Moving on, AUD CAD, we can see is in floating profit currently in a trade. We are looking right here to the downside. We just broke into profit and we should swing through, make a few dollars here on this account. That'll be awesome and absolutely incredible. We can see Euro NZD. We are currently also playing both sides, and that makes sense as it has also been a little choppy. When I say choppy, I mean just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? This is not chopped. That's trend. That's trend. This is trend. That's trend. But stuff like this, you're still trending, but kind of choppy trending in a direction. But when you get something like this, we're kind of just chopping around, right? Ranging, as people would call it. And when you see range is oftentimes when you see the ghost server playing both directions. So just to put that into your mind. I already looked at AUD CAD. All right. NZD USD, we got no trades on the week. We are only playing one direction in the ghost server right now, which is sells. USD CAD, we have no trades open on the week as well. We're going to continue on. GBP USD, same concept, no trades opened on this week. GBP NZD, no trades opened on the week. GBP JPY as well, no trades opened on the week. GBP CAD, again, I classified GBP CAD kind of with Euro GBP, GBP CHF. Just maybe the gear entries might be too high, or maybe the market's just not, you know, trending on those pairs the way we need it to get an entry on GearBox. Which again, we're gonna show my FX book example of GBP AUD in a minute for why to potentially not increase or decrease the gear entries. So you can see GBP AUD here did 2% this week as well. Last week, GBP AUD had a home run week, and we're going to talk about that. Euro CHF, you can see we had no trades on the week. Moving in, Euro CAD actually took trades this week. This is exciting because Euro CAD had not also taken trades in months on my GearBox account. So we're going to talk about this because this also goes into the patience game. GearBox is much of a patience game, and some people don't really like to play the patience game, but it's heavily needed. We do recommend it. We can see Euro USD did not take any trades this week. Euro AUD as well. We had no open trades on the week. And moving in Euro JPY, we had no trades on the week. All right, let's go ahead over to my FX book here, and we're going to take a look at what is going on with the one pair data. So the first thing I want to talk about is you can see that there are some charts here that they've updated. GBP AUD is now a best performer, but I want to take a closer look at this. It's always been a best performer, but when we first released GearBox, you notice that the GBP pairs were some of our best performers, right? They were just from October all the way to the end of March. We were taking trades every month on GBP AUD. And then I want you to see what happened here. We went into the month of April and we took no trades all the way till August 19th. And then we got into trades on August 19th and took a loss. Got into 20% drawdown. Now, 20% drawdown, 19% drawdown on a 500 euro account, it's nothing. It's 100 euros, right? But the point of that is, if this was a $1,000 account, that would have been 10% drawdown. But look at the profit it made. We went from taking a loss of 10% from 64 to 54 to now going to 102% 2 weeks later from that exact trade setup. So I want to show you that, right? Because that's absolutely insane. But this is why we tend to not decrease the gear entries. Had you imagine had I been sitting here and we looked at this and we went, man, we just aren't taking any entries on GBP AUD, and it's been 60 days, 90 days. And imagine had we lowered where we entered that trade, this loss would have been greater than 10%. Not only would it have been greater than 10%, our drawdown would have been greater. And our profit would not have been as great. So there's also things to weigh out. And this is why we scan so many pairs with GearBox, because you want to make sure that, you know, when there is an opportunity, you take it. Because there are times where there won't be opportunities on many pairs for sometimes months at a time. And you can see GBP AUD is a prime example. But did GBP AUD make up for the 3 months it didn't take any trades in April, May, June, July? Actually, 4 months. 4 months it didn't take a trade for 4 months. So I want you to think about that when you're asking, okay, is it a patience thing? In fact, we took a loss in August, right? You know, we saw that. You can see here's how things went for us. November we did 10%. December we did 25. All of a sudden January we did 2. February we did 5. March we did 10. But we were making money, and then we just did not take a trade for 4 months. And then we had a 30% month in GBP AUD. So the point in showing you this is to, again, show you the power in the patience game with GearBox and just letting it wait for those precise opportunities, because we know they happen. And when they happen, GearBox is designed to capitalize on those opportunities. Another pair for us to highlight, I want to go find EuroCAD, as I know that EuroCAD had not taken a trade for a while. Now, I know there was a point, I think, where EuroCAD even hit some stop losses at one point, and yet you can see that. Look at this. We hadn't taken any trades for, actually, this hasn't even updated. I need to go tell it to update because it still thinks we're in buys. So if you guys use my FX book, I'm going to teach you a trick real quick. If you ever want to force a my FX book to update, we are going to go over here and find EuroCAD. You can see it last updated April 6th. That's a long time ago. I don't know why it glitched out on us here. And we are going to go ahead and connect. So when doing this, this should reconnect us and give us the most accurate data. This is how you force my FX book to update. If you ever have an FX book that is not updating, you're wondering what's going on, I'm looking for that data. You should be able to just go over here into this area and hit connect. Give it a minute, let it refresh all your data, and it should update. So we're going to sit here for a minute because I do want to really make an example of EuroCAD. As I showed you, it took some losses a while back and then started to trade back and make them. And there we go. See, it updated successfully. So now we should be able to just go right back here to EuroCAD. And there we go. Look at that. So that's beautiful. So I want to show you something. This is, again, the patience game. Are there times where you might take a loss? Absolutely. But if you are scanning all of the pairs and you are using GearBox how you should be, look what ended up happening here. All right, this was February 19th. Okay, let's be honest. If you had gone from 1% to 40% by February, lost it all, And then it took March, April, May, June, July, August, September to get back. Yeah, that's not that ideal, but that's just on one pair, right? So if you took this loss on one pair, that's okay because you have other pairs making up the difference. But this one pair, you can see even itself took that whole loss and made it back. So I wanted to show that and still kept a 2% profit factor. And that loss was a 14% loss when it happened. Okay, that's a higher loss, but that was on a $500 account. This means if this was a $1,000 account, that loss would have been 7%. Is that feasible? Absolutely. I took a 9% loss on my 10K account recently. Was it bad? No, I made half of it back as soon as the trade swung this month already. So the same concepts, there are going to be losses. Losses are inevitable. You need to be prepared for the times where a stop loss does occur. That's why GearBox uses great risk management so that when things like this happen, you're not losing all your money. You're not blowing an account. We lost that money and still only went in 17% drawdown because our software is willing to take losses instead of just continue to rack out drawdown and blow our margin call an account, right? The risk management and mitigation features are there to really give somebody that ultimate peace of mind. And this is another great example of, hey, you know, you might be doing great, take a loss, and then it comes back around. Continuing on with this data, let's refresh the one pair data now that we updated EuroCAD. We'll sort by absolute gain. And, you know, we can take a look at any times that there were ones that took losses, right? USD CAD went 52, 45, and now we're all the way up here at 83. We can look at GBP CAD. I told you that GBP CAD was hidden. GBP CAD hasn't taken a trade since April 30th, and it took stop losses all the way down from 24 to 7.2%. And now it's just sitting boring, not taking any action. Another one was EuroCAD, which we see has now just made its way back up from where it took a loss. You know, tracking something else in here. Let's see what do we got here? I'm trying to click this one. It doesn't want to let me. Euro AUD. Euro AUD is another one. Let's take a look at Euro AUD. Are there going to be times that there are losses? And I want to focus on that on this call because I really want people to understand GearBox and its risk features. Euro AUD, same concept happened. Look at this. We took this loss all the way back on February 19th. We went from 36% down March all the way here to May. All right, and we made it back in May, and we haven't taken a trade since May 19th. All right, I want you to think about that. So yeah, that's kind of boring, but whenever Euro AUD next spots a great trade, we're going to be in it. So it is the patience game. This is why we scan so many different currency pairs. To really make sure that you're getting the best opportunity and trading advantages at all times. But we'll keep taking a look at this one pair data so that you can, you know what is going on. As well, I've had a lot of requests to verify these one pair data accounts so that they can be public. I am going to look to do that this weekend as I've been getting request after request for that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and come back to the chat box here, and I'm going to see what kind of questions we have going on, and we are going to continue to dig in. But first, let me just bring back the chat here. Give me a second to find, there it is. All right. Great questions in here. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick so I can answer these questions for you guys. Getting into it here. Are we using CHF pairs now? I am using CHF pairs on my one pair data accounts because I'm always tracking the data. Now, again, I know some brokers lowered leverage on CHF pairs. If you have a broker that lowered leverage, it may be a riskier decision to run CHF pairs right now. I'm simply running all pairs always on my one pair data account so that I can show you guys what is going on at all times, regardless of if you're running those pairs or not. Same reason I run JPY pairs on my one pair data accounts. I don't really like JPY pairs on my my main accounts that run all of the pairs and scan all the pairs. When it comes to the data accounts, I'm always going to run all the pairs on the data accounts, no matter what the scenario is or the situation, because I believe in a true hands-off strategy. That's how I designed GearBox. There's a lot of EA developers out there and a lot of product vendors where they believe in creating strategies that require some manual intervention, turning this off or this on, taking this pair off, putting this pair on. For me, I really believe in creating a hands-off strategy, but my goal is always to provide you the most data so that you can create the most optimized strategy for your own risk tolerance. And that's why I share this data. But again, with GearBox, I run it on every single one of these pairs to really see what's going on at all times, because I know that it is the strategy that can handle the volatility. It's designed to handle really anything. I've really built GearBox around March of 2020 with COVID and what happened in COVID, because I lost a lot of money in COVID myself because of major market movements. And I designed GearBox with that in mind, to be able to handle black swan events, major market crashes, and be able to mitigate risk. So that's my opinion on it. But again, you can run it however you want to run it. If I have correlation switched on, why have I got AUD, NZD, Euro NZD, and NZD CAD open, as this means all NZD pairs, I would assume. Again, so even if something's correlated, it may not be correlated at the percent in which GearBox decides not to take that trade. Now, also, you have to remember there's positive correlation and negative correlation. So it all depends. So if we actually, let's take a look and go over to correlation data so I can actually make this make sense. Let me share my screen, because this is a great question about correlation. I'd love to answer this. So let me go ahead and give us an example here. So if we are to go over into the correlation side of things here, the first thing to look at is that all of our stuff is based on positive 85 and negative 85, or positive 85. Yeah. So when taking a look at that, you have to be able to go look, and we're going to take a look at your examples here you gave us. So we have here, let's do AUD, NZD, and Euro NZD. All right. Let's take a look at that. AUD, NZD, and Euro NZD. There we go. AUD, NZD, and Euro NZD. All right, here's what we have right now, and this is a great thing to show you. Euro NZD is 49% correlated with AUD, NZD. This means that they are not technically correlated on that level, meaning that, yes, you can open trades in both directions on them. So then let's go to one of the next examples you gave me here. All right, now let's say AUD, NZD, and NZD CAD. All right. AUD, NZD, and NZD CAD, and negative 71%. All right. So we base our correlation right now off of 85% and above. The lowest it'll be is 75, and the highest it'll be is 95 once we add the options to toggle between 75, 85, and 95. But what this means is essentially NZD CAD is only negative 71% correlated with AUD, NZD. So this means if AUD, NZD is a buy, that there is a 71% chance that NZD CAD is a sell. Now, that correlation isn't as precise as we look for. So that's why you're in trades in both of them. So even though they look highly correlated, when we actually study the data in the current moment, they are not fitting the correlation filter at negative 85 and positive 85. So again, what the difference is between negative and positive correlation is positive correlation means if AUD JPY is a buy, AUD CHF is a buy, right? Now, if it's negative, it means the opposite. So in this case, USD CAD, if USD CAD's a buy, then CAD JPY is a sell. So you can go to my FX book and go over here to market, go to correlation, put your time frame on the daily, put negative 85 here, positive 85, and go ahead here and select the currency pairs, right, that you want to look at, and look at that data. And you're going to be able to get results and answers on why the software is taking trades or not taking trades based around correlation. So I hope that answers the questions on correlation. Let me come back to our questions here. Is it possible to run different settings for different pairs, starting lot size strategy or the settings GB? No, you can run different settings for different pairs. Absolutely. You would just individually modify the settings on each currency pair, beacon head. That's how you would go ahead and handle that. You could obviously just apply the manager and have it override all of them how you want it to, or you can individually modify them. That's the great thing about GearBox. It is highly customizable. It's all however you would like to manage it. Ryan Janaska here said, I've heard you mention in the past for larger accounts, 20, 30, 40,000 accounts to not do 0.01 per 1,000. Why is that? I have a 5K account using 0.05 lot size and I haven't exceeded 17% drawdown. Thank you. This is a great question, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up a document. I'm not sharing my screen right now, so give me a minute. I want to pull up the GearBox calculator, and let's talk a little bit about this. If you guys haven't seen this risk calculator, this might be new for some of you, but we're going to go ahead and we are going to share this, and I'm going to make it make as much sense as possible for all of us right now. So give me a second, because this was a great question, Ryan. Thank you for this question. All right. So what you're seeing here is a GearBox calculator. Now, let me go ahead and put in proper gear entries. Let's just say on average, you're entering around 4. And oops, I shouldn't have done that. I think I just broke something. Undo. What did I do? I did something I shouldn't have done. Awesome. All right. I found one that I did not break. That's view only, so give me a minute. I got to save it, make a copy. And we're back. Okay, now we are back in business. Give me a second here. Let's just, like I said, let's just say that you are entering on, oh, this is the view only one. Here's my copy. There we go. Let's just say you're entering 4, so it's going to switch to gear entry 5 after Wednesday. Or that's where it's actually entering. So start after gear 4, entering on 5. Starting lot size on a 10K, 0.10. Starting lot size on 1,000. So we're going to look at 2 different differences here. All right. If this was a $1,000 account, yes, you're inherently going to get into more drawdown, right? See, if you were, let's say, entering gear 9 on a $1,000 account, you're already in 38% drawdown. Whereas a 10K, you're only in 21. Now, the difference is, as you actually were to start playing with larger balances, like I want to use the comparison of 5,000 at a 0.05. And you can see that in this case, the drawdowns pretty much match, right? Now, why I say with larger accounts that you should lower the lot size is because 21% drawdown on a $5,000 account, it's only $1,000 drawdown. 21% on a 10K becomes $2,000 drawdown. All right, if this was a 100K account, that's $20,000 drawdown. And sometimes handling higher drawdown is a lot easier for people when the accounts are small. So this is often why I tell people this, is because when you get into larger balances, let's say 25,000, for example. All right. When you get into stuff like that, you can see that it just 21% drawdown on 25K is different. So even though these numbers kind of match, they look similar, almost identical. It actually looks like there'd be less drawdown with the same settings on a large account. Yes, it's true, just a little less, right? But ultimately, you have to be willing to see that drawdown and be able to handle that risk on a larger account. And again, this is, the GearBox risk calculator. If you've never seen it, this is just a calculator to help people determine more of their risk and see kind of where things happen. The only thing is this does not take into account stop losses. So if something moves 500 pips, for example, from entry 5 to 9, when we calculate drawdown, we're also not calculating loss. So you're going to see higher drawdown actually here than potentially a loss, because technically you would have closed a trade at 500 pips here. So just other things to take into account. This is not a full, fully accurate tool. This is an independent tool created for educational purposes only. But this is something to help people better understand their risk, the next lot sizes that are supposed to be taken, and kind of how things happen. Anything under 10,000, you use this side, small account size. Anything over 10,000, you come over here and use this side. If you haven't seen this tool, or have access to this tool, I'll go ahead and repost a link to it in the chat after this call. But this tool really does help you kind of understand your risk and make sure you're comfortable with your risk. If you're okay with 17% drawdown on a 10K account or a $25,000 account, awesome. Personally, for me, on a $10,000 account, I still run 0.01 per 1K. But once you get into like 25 grand and up, I would tend to be more conservative. Even if you were to, go to 0.12, look how conservative this is. Like, what is your chance, all right, of this account blowing here, and what would have to happen? And the other thing you have to remember, though, is that this is only showing you one pair. So you have to think about 3 pairs. So actually, to blow this account, what would have to happen, if we're looking at 38% drawdown here, this would blow the account if all 3 pairs were to go to gear 11 and entered at 5. So let's say you entered 3 pairs at gear 5, and then they all right, so they already had gone 209 pips, and then they managed to go each another 1,300 pips, which if you don't understand what a pip is, just know that that's highly unlikely. The last time I saw a pair even make a move of 1,500 pips was in COVID last year, and it was not all of them, but it was USD JPY, and it did steal my soul. But the point is, this very rarely happens, and the point is that with proper lot size on this large account, you could have withstood, all right, going down conservative, you could have withstood 3 currency pairs making that move before an account with a margin called. So now if you have at 0.25 here, so you're running 0.01 per 1K, all right, that account is pretty much toast if all 3 pairs moved 1,000 pips against you. Now, again, we know that very rarely happens, that those pairs are going to move 1,000 pips with no retracement, and 3 of them at the exact same time. Keep in mind, this has to be at the exact same time. But that's how you can do these calculations. So you can actually understand your risk. You just multiply this by 3. So in this case, if this was a $5,000 account with a 0.05 starting lot size, all right, in order for you to get into a little over 60% drawdown, what has to happen? And that would be 500 pips, a little more, 600 pips actually, from where you entered. So if you were in 3 currency pairs and they all went 600 pips against you on a $5,000 account with a 0.05 starting lot, you'd be in 60% drawdown. So I hope this tool helps you understand your risk a little better, helps you understand how to manage GearBox a little better. And if this sounds like Chinese and you're brand new, trust me, you're going to get the hang of it. You just keep getting on these calls every week, keep using the product, keep asking your upline and your sponsor questions, and trust me, you're going to get it. It's really not that hard. It sometimes might look a little intricate. Let me come back. Ryan, so you advise that because of the money value related to DD and larger accounts. Makes sense. Is GearBox calculator available to us? Yes, Ryan, it is. I'll go ahead and reshare it in the traders chat and the GearBox chat after this. Wondering about real life effects. How much more aggressive does trading become in practice if changing starting lot size enters on real trades to ghost trades? Beaconhead absolutely massively increases your risk depending on what level you're entering your trade on. For example, if you had a starting lot of 0.01 and you were entering on a level 5 trade, well, you're not entering a 0.01 starting lot size. You're entering a 0.05. So your risk is 5 times more. So yes, it becomes inherently much riskier. The only reason I would ever use a setting like that is if you were to make your starting lot more conservative and you were to use super sniper settings on a larger balance. That would be the only way I would ever do something like that. And the only, that'd be the only way I would do something like that. But definitely much riskier. That's why I added starting lot enters on real trades instead of ghost trades. That was actually such a marvelous feature when we added it to GearBox, because when we first designed GearBox, we actually did not have that feature. I was about 6 months into GearBox before I even thought of that feature, and it made the product so much safer and so much better. So always advancing, always optimizing, making things the best we can. Yeah, definitely. I would call it a hands-off setting. It's the kind of thing you don't touch unless you're a highly advanced user and you're very hands-on and you know what the risk is. Um, which again, the reason I give you access to those settings, I could have just hid that and you never would have even had that option. But I give those features to people so that people can really customize their experience, because there are some advanced users that love to do more advanced things. And take more risk. And, you should be willing and able to take more risk if you so choose, right? Who am I to decide how you want to handle your risk? I can't. I'm not a financial advisor. So that's up to you. But with that being said, let's get into Forex Factory for the week and take a look at the week ahead here and how everything is about to tune out. All right, I'm going to share my screen. We got Forex Factory here, and let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. So Forex Factory's over here. All right, so today, obviously, if you're paying attention, we already had this morning Canadian employment and unemployment change numbers reported. Going into Monday, we have AUD, RBA, Gov, Lao speaks. Going into Tuesday, we have USD, CPI, core CPI. Same thing with GBP. We have CPI, so we have some CPI on USD. We have CPI on GBP. We have CPI on Canadian dollar. NZD, we have GDP. AUD, we have an employment and unemployment change. USD, we have core retail sales numbers and retail sale numbers. Looking like a good red folder news week ahead of us this next week, which for me, this should equal great profits for GearBox accounts, especially ones in precision modes, because again, we capitalize on red folder news. This is where we tend to get our entries. We really look for red folder news. A lot of EAs, they're scared of red folder news. They want to turn off during red folder news. They want to close their trades during red folder news. GearBox, we want red folder news. This is where we get our entries. This is where things trend. This is where we get those precise entries and catch reversals. So red folder news is our friend here with GearBox, and I want you to become accustomed to that. Now, if you are using our intraday modes, red folder events are not your friend in intraday mode. But if you are in precision mode, red folder news is your best friend. So get used to it. You're going to love red folder news with GearBox and precision modes. Now, if you're using intraday, again, intraday is only designed for advanced users. And if you are not an advanced user, I would not be using intraday mode unless you really understand it. But with that being said, I appreciate every single one of you tuning into this call and spending this morning with me. I will look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. And I do have a GearBox update that will be rolling out today. I'm just doing some final testing. We've been going back and forth, making sure things are perfect. And we think this one will address double TP bug as well. It will address, it should address the -1 and -1 bug. We know that some people are still having some pairs that sometimes get stuck in -1 and -1. If you ever see -1 and -1, the easiest way to get it to go back to taking ghost trades is toggle on that currency pair at different time frames. So just switch between daily and H1 or whatnot. And that's how you'll be able to do it. But with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in here. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.
There is a substantial risk of loss associated with trading Forex, binary options, stocks, or equities. Only risk capital should be used for trading. Trading binary options is not appropriate for everyone. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. No representation is being made that investors will make profits or will sustain losses. Before trading binary options, investors should consult with their professional broker, financial advisor, or financial consultant to determine whether trading binary options is appropriate. Investors who trade binary options should only do so if the capital used for this purpose represents funds that an investor can afford to lose without adversely impacting the investor's lifestyle. No trading strategy or methodology is without risk of loss. No trading strategy is risk-free, and no trading strategy can guarantee profits or freedom from losses. Investors risk losing the cost to execute any transaction, including associated commissions or fees. You should carefully consider whether trading binary options is appropriate for you in light of your investment experience and financial resources. Any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. None of the statements or materials in the Auvoria chat room constitute a solicitation or recommendation to buy or sell binary options.